Okay, so I'm going to have the publication ready for distribution today. It may have to be through you DMing me so that I can just send it to you organically because I haven't figured out this whole Substack thing and the right way to do it. I've figured it out, but I want to do it the right way. We don't want to start off wrong. We want to start off right. And I'm working hard on that. But the publication, the handbook, which is the Grit Playbook, and it's complete. It's only about 18 pages. It's really easy. It's not the end all publication, but it's important, right? And so, just an example of putting stuff into practice. My son, he's 10 years old, my last son, my youngest child. And I've been instilling this method in him since he was little. And I've had a lot of trial and error. I'm not an expert and I'm getting there, but I've had a lot of trial and error. And that's unfortunate because that means that my older children, who have also turned out strong, but maybe I was a little bit too strong with them. But that comes from my background, and you'll see some videos out pretty soon because I've gotten some questions as to who's this guy and why should we listen to him. And there's good reasons to listen to me. And it's not because I'm the smartest guy in the world, but it's because through trial and error and also necessity, I've had to figure this out. And it's been a tough road. And not to say that it's the toughest road, not to say it's, I'm unique in all the world, because I'm not. And there's people that have had harder roads and there's people that are more successful. However, an example of just last night. So, as you can hear from my voice, I'm a little congested and a little under the weather, but I was really under the weather before, and my son was under the weather last week. In fact, he missed some school last week just because he was sick, and he still was not feeling 100%. And in fact, he went down in a race on Saturday, mostly because he was trying to cut corners because he wasn't going fast enough. But last night, and I asked him, it's like, if you're under the weather, I'm not telling you no, I'm not telling you can't go or anything else like that, but don't, have realistic expectations. So where if you give 100% of what you have, and you don't get the result that you're used to getting by giving 100% of what you have right now, you don't let that put you back. You realize that you've put in the effort and you've pushed as hard as you can push. You've given the 100% of where you are, either mentally or physically, only being 70 or 80%, but you've given 100% of that, what you can give, and still come away with a win for you. Not necessarily you win the race, but it is a win, right? Anytime you give everything that you can possibly give, regardless of the outcome, it's a win, because you are going to learn from that. And it's going to prepare you in the future when you reach those adverse conditions. So he went out there, and a kid that he always battles with and everything else like that. He didn't beat him last night, but he had a really good showing, and they gapped the field like they normally do. And I'll put in a couple little shorts on there for the quick social media like I usually do. But he went out there, and he is very pleased with himself because he gave everything he could. In fact, after the first one, he was like, man, I feel like throwing up. Instead of me sitting there and going, oh, baby, 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 I said, well, how about we get up and we go around behind the bleachers and we do our stretching. And so we did that, and he felt better, right? So it's like, you don't have to coddle. You can redirect, but not redirect into sympathy, but redirect into something that is actually going to help. Or if, if you're at a point where you feel like throwing up, sometimes the best thing to do is to go and throw up, right? So, But he ended up very pleased with himself. I'm very proud of him. I always have been. And but these are some examples. But look for it, Grit Playbook. It's going to be attached like some kind of link or a direction to DM me at the end of this, and I'll get these out to you. And these aren't the end-all guides. It's just 18 pages. It's really simple. It's just to go through. So that the change, because it's not just change in your kids, right? It's changes in us. And the path is going to be tougher the older they are. It's still possible to get these done. But at the same time, remember, as they get older, you're going to have more resistance, especially depending on the gap between comfort and what would you call it? Accomplishment. Comfort and accomplishment. These things, unless your goal is comfort, but you're not going to have comfort as an adult if you're raised only seeking comfort. Unless you're like born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you have tons of money, in which case you're probably not listening to this anyways, because what's the use? But if you're trying to get ahead, and or if your goal is to have your kids to get ahead, this is for us. This is for our kids. And this isn't a guide to make your kid your best friend, right? In fact, the older they are and the more resistance that you have to make these changes, they may end up not being your best friend. You may end up, however, the goal is, as a parent, is not to make your child your friend. It really isn't. It's to make your child capable of realizing everything they can possibly realize in their lives. Don't be a sucker that is living through your kid, okay? Don't be the guy that is, or the woman that is identifying and living your life based on your child's accomplishments or your child's attention to you. I've seen that so many times, and it hits close to home with a few situations, and we don't need to get into that. Maybe I will on a different whole page or thing, but this has nothing to do with that, and that would be polarizing, and we're not looking for that, but we are looking to make kids stronger. And nobody gets stronger. Nothing gets stronger without temperament and forging and struggle and the hard things. There's no growth. There's no growth in anything. Okay, there's no manipulation in mechanical things to make something strong that doesn't require a lot of effort. There's no learning that doesn't require effort. There's nothing that improves without struggle. Everything is struggle. Life itself is struggle. Comfort is contrary to that struggle. Not contrary, but comfort is contrary to the struggle that results in a satisfying, long, and fulfilling life. And there's nothing fulfilling in just scrolling on a phone or a computer or anything else like that. And there's so much time wasted. You never get today back. You never get this time back. And in fact, if this isn't useful for you, turn it off and put your phone down and go and do something. Honestly, if you're not getting anything out of what I am saying or what I am providing, put it down and go and actually do something. But I'm talking about doing something. Move yourself in a direction of productivity, action and productivity. If you're just wasting time, and in fact, I have an issue right now with the way the schools, my son is also a very prolific reader, and And so am I, and I'm kind of crazy as far as that goes, and so is he. However, they're being rewarded so much and they're so encouraged, and he's getting into a habit. Now I'm recognizing that reading fiction only and spending lots of time reading fiction, and I read fiction. In fact, I read fiction every evening before I go to bed, and it's just to take my mind off of everything so that there's none of these gears turning to keep me from going to sleep when I need to go to sleep. It's basically to put a screen up so that I can sleep, because otherwise I can't turn it off, right? And but I don't wake up to the fantasy. I don't spend the middle of the day to the fantasy. And encouraging and only promoting fantasy in kids is pretty tough. I see the school systems right now kind of catering and not doing a really good service as far as these reading programs that they have. Reading is essential, and the love of reading is also essential. However, it should, my opinion, but I believe it would prove correct, no more than 50% fantasy, and the rest should all be like historical. I mean, nonfiction. The rest should be nonfiction, and otherwise, it's no different, except for you've become literate. Okay, um, but at least 50% should be nonfiction. And if you're in this situation with your children and they're in school and you've recognized this, provide them with nonfiction. Okay, so my son, he has subscriptions to magazines, and also I've bought him a number of books. I grew up like, thank God that my father had subscribed to all the Time Life stuff when I was a kid, and I don't even know if that stuff's available anymore. But we had nature, we had history. There was one just dedicated to naval stuff, and it was amazing, and we would spend so much time reading that. In fact, I think I was probably 80% nonfiction, but I read at least as much as my son. But anyways, this is my that's my rant for today, and this is how we're going to end the week. And DM me or hit the link if I get this whole thing, the way to actually get this in Substack, so that it doesn't cost anybody anything, because it's going to be free. Okay, so this playbook is completely free. This isn't for self-promotion. This isn't for something else. I have work that I do every day. So this isn't for some self-promotion, okay? This is for everybody. And in fact, like, comment, subscribe, send me content that you want, or if there's subjects and situations that you want addressed, let me know. Don't be inappropriate. Don't be argumentative. Be open. You can confront me or ask me anything, and so long as it isn't argumentative or disruptive in this conversation, in this realm of trying to make our children great adults, not just functional adults. Everybody could be functional. Some kid that grows up in the basement, doing nothing but looking at screens, could be functional in some way. But to be great adults, because that's the goal, right? That should be your goal as a parent, to raise great adults, okay? So, and they are children right now, and this is the best time to develop in them the habits and the rituals that will give them that life of security and confidence and happiness in their future. So that's it for now. Have a great weekend.